Now I'll show you this next picture here. Lipton's tea. This also I showed you in my last PPT. This particular advertisement is from 1922, shows the new trend of drinking tea, that people who are royal who they drink tea. So the lifestyle of people started changing in India also, and the term civilized had a very different meaning. The term civilized meant for people who are living in posh houses, who are living like a royal life. They were have the most of the all the necessary needs in their houses were available. So the term civilized does not mean that. The term civilized means how nice you are with everyone. It doesn't mean that the Indians were barbaric if they were studying, if the children here were studying in gurukuls. Even we had our own education system, but stressing on English education and saying that only in English education can make you civilized, so that is not a right perspective, and that is not a good judgment to make about a certain group or social or group of people in a society. So we have covered that part in your last class also. Now we were talking about which dates by giving you example of the list of viceroys and the list of governor generals in India. I have made it clear here also why certain dates and why certain events become important in history, and then why we make them important, why we study about them. To give you another example, we study about the Second World War. We study about the First World War and the formation of the League of Nations, and eventually after the Second World War, we study about the formation of the United Nations. Because, and the dates also when this happened, because what incidents, what events led to the happenings of such things in history, and now how it had an impact on the political systems, the economy, and the society as a whole. So that is why those particular events become more important. But why do they become important? Because history is all about learning about the past. When we are learning about the past, we try to rectify the mistakes we might have done in our previous, okay, or people must have done previously, so that we learn from them and we make our future better. And that is why we study history. Okay, here let's just read this. Consider an example. In the histories written by British historians in India, the rule of each governor general was important. These histories began with the rule of the first governor general. General, let me tell you, in 1773, the first governor general was Warren Hastings. And after the first war of independence, that is 1857, the rule of India, it had gone into the hands of Queen of England. And that is why there was a deputation of a viceroy right from the year 1857, which was Lord Canning, as mentioned by the student who has written that list of viceroys. Okay, so that is why earlier it was governor generals, and that position was changed. Direct rule of the queen began after the first war of independence. And you already know how Bahadur Shah Zafar and some leaders, some like Rani Lakshmi Bai, Tatya Tope, Nana Sahib, they were some important leaders of the first war of independence. And after we lost the war, Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor, was sent to Rangoon. Okay, he was on a house arrest in Rangoon and kept in Burma in Rangoon. Okay, we have already studied that and looked at that part in your last lesson of 7th grade of India in the 18th century. Okay, now let me read further. Warren Hastings, and it ended with the last viceroy, that is Lord Mountbatten. Lord Mountbatten was the last viceroy of India in which year? Can anybody tell me? Please raise your hand. Last viceroy of India here is mentioned as Lord Mountbatten. Yes, Shravani Sangle. Very good.
1947.
Very good. 1947. Why 1947 he was the last viceroy?
Because we got independence.
He
on
got
19 in
our
1947.
independence, so that is why he was the last viceroy of India. Okay. In separate chapters, we read about the deeds of others. Okay, what they did, what events were there around the lives of these people. So this is very much clear from this particular section why some certain events, certain peoples, the rule of certain kings, or certain dates are important in history. Now we'll come to the next section, that is how do we periodize. In 1857, James Mill, a Scottish economist and political philosopher, published a massive 3-volume work. Now, James Mill was a British historian, and he looked at Indian history or any other history in the world from his own perspective. Okay, so now he periodized the history in 3 different parts. So how did he periodize? Periodizing means you divide history, just like in the current times we have divided history into prehistory and history, and then history is further divided into ancient history, medieval history, and modern history, and today's history is known as contemporary world or contemporary times or contemporary history. Okay, so now how did James Mill in the year, which year, 1817, how did he periodize history from his own point of view? In this, he divided Indian history into 3 periods: Hindu period, Muslim period, and British period. So he's using the religion, and he's being racist here. He's why Hindu? Because before the 11th century and the 10th century, there were no Muslim invaders and ruling India. You know, when the Delhi Sultanate began. So after the 700 BC, we have learned about some certain important kingdoms in North India. The tripartite struggle after 700 AD. Then we have studied about the invasions of Muhammad Ghori and Ghazni. And then the Muslim rule began in India with the Delhi Sultanate, when Qutbuddin Aibak became the first emperor of the Delhi Sultanate of the Mamluk dynasty. Then till the 15th century, we have this Delhi Sultans ruling over our country, and eventually it was the Mughals after Ibrahim Lodi Ibrahim Lodi's uncle Daulat Khan Lodi invited Babur to invade and attack Ibrahim Lodi, and he was successful in the War of Panipat, and he became the first Mughal emperor. So after that, you have a series of 6 important Mughal emperors till Aurangzeb, the most powerful emperor, last Mughal emperor. After that, we have a series of emperors, but the last emperor was Bahadur Shah Zafar, who failed in the first war of independence of India in 1857. After that, we have the British rule. So according to his perspective, James Mill, with the series of events, how they happened, he divided history into Hindu, Muslim, and British. Is this clear to everyone? Any questions here? Any questions, children? Okay, you can type your questions also, just in case. Okay, you can you type your questions on the chat also. So now this periodization came to be very widely accepted. Everybody agreed to this. Can you think of any other problem with this way of looking at Indian history? Do you think there is a problem in looking at it in this manner? Is it right to look at it like this?
Discrimination in religions.
Very good. There is a discrimination here. There is a kind of that, okay, there is a discrimination of religion, then racism is there. You can make out. Okay, so this is how this was James Mill's perspective of India. Why do we try and divide history into different periods? Why is it that we divide it into these different periods? It's very much clear to you. Until you understand the previous happenings, you will not be able to make out the connectivity of what is happening now. To give you one good example from the current times, okay, we know that the virus had spread and people are suffering from the new virus, but unless you know where it originated from China it originated. So we tend to, as humans, we tend to find out what was the reason behind how the series of events have happened, and this is the reason why we periodize, because periodization is very much important to have some coherence or some connectivity between from one event to another. We do so in an attempt to capture the characteristics of time, of course, what was happening during those times, its central features as they appear to us. So the terms through which we periodize, that is, demarcate the difference between periods, become important. They reflect our ideas about the past. They show how we see the significance of change from one period to the next. For example, in the old times, we never had the mobile phones or internet, but now, after certain discoveries and inventions, with the invention of the satellite communication, we have this privilege of watching TV through satellite communication. Then there was the invention of the printing press that has changed the lives of people. Okay. James Mill thought that all Asian societies were at a lower level of civilization than Europe. Why did he think so? Can anybody let me know? Why did James Mill think that Asian society or in Asia, not much development is there, people are not civilized? Do you think so that people were not civilized in India also during those times? If we talk about,
Yes,
let's say,
ma'am.
we talk about, let's say, 18th century, when the Industrial Revolution happened in Europe, do you think we lag behind them, or we were not civilized during those times, or we were savage?
Yes, ma'am. Because many kingdoms were fighting with each other to means enlarge their territories, and
But
because of that only people.
does that give you the privilege to say that people were savage and uncivilized? Just because the
Because of wars,
industrial,
many money was used.
see, this is kind of a perception that people tend to agree with. That okay, the industrial revolution has happened over there, and that is why, because it happened over there, so we lag behind them. It is not. It is, there is nothing like that. First of all, you should not have this kind of a perception that because industrial revolution have happened over there, so they are far ahead of us. This perception is not correct, because different periods of time, different things have happened. To clarify you this beta, Indians have been very consistent in inventions and discoveries. It's not like that we have gone through a period of dark ages. To clear your doubt on this, in the before the 13th century in Europe, right from the 600 AD to the year 1300, is known as the Dark Ages, which is in the 1300 in the century. It is known as the age of reason or enlightenment, because for 6 to 700 years there was no development in Europe. People were not interested to go out or explore anything. People were not interested in inventions and discoveries. It was the church which was ruling in Europe, and during those times people have immensely suffered in Europe. Nobody thought about building ships and going out or experiment. It was later, when people were tired of the rule of the church, and that by the 13th century, when new inventions and discoveries started happening, people started thinking, philosophers started thinking. Okay, so India, as such, India is a country in Asia, and it had never gone through any such uh, many centuries of dark ages when no development was happening. If we talk about 700 AD or 900 AD, we have been through our own difficult times. We had invasions happening here in India. Even when the kings were there was animosity, or there was communism, or for a certain territory they were waging wars with each other, that doesn't make them uncivilized. Okay, so that is a perception, human perception. If you're sitting on the floor and eating your food, or if you sit on a sofa and eat food, that doesn't make you civilized. The word civilized has been mistakenly taken, the meaning of the word civilized has been taken in a very different manner. A person who's civilized, he treats everybody nicely, he has control over his emotions, and or he has good morals. So that is what the term civilized means. Okay, so here when James Mill thought that the Asian societies are lower level of civilization, it is very wrong. It is just that the industrial revolution had not happened here, and over there the situations were different. I hope you all agree. If you have any dispute on this, you all can come give comments on this. Do you agree or not?
Yes,
Please raise
ma'am.
your hands. Do you agree? Does it make Indians uncivilized or savage, just like the barbaric
No, ma'am.
hunters and gatherers
No,
in
ma'am.
India?
No,
No,
We,
ma'am.
we
Ma'am.
also had a civilized society. We had Aryabhatta. We also had mathematicians. So we cannot say that Indians were not civilized. India has been very consistent with development in its own manner, in its own way. And India is unique in its own way. Not only India, but any civilization during those times, even the Chinese, the examination system has evolved in China. So you cannot say that the Asian civilizations were uncivilized. Okay, the entire bureaucracy or the bourgeois was there in China during those times. So in many things, the Asian societies are far ahead of the European society. So let's not have that notion. Okay, according to this telling of history before the British India came to, so he believed that it was the British only who could civilize the Indians. Hindu and Muslim despots ruled the country. Religious intolerance, caste taboos, and superstitious practices dominated. Of course, that is true, but that was the if anything, any new thing happens in the society, it has its pros and cons, which means it has a good side also and it has a negative side also. It is very easy to point out at the negative side, but we should look at all the good things that were also there. So we should not look at from one perspective. If you're from the point of view of a historian, you should have the ability to analyze all the events by looking at it from different perspectives and not have a one view about a certain event or a person. I hope this is clear to everyone. Any doubts here, children? Okay, I'll proceed to the next page. Okay, here one activity is given here. Interview your mother or another member of your family to find out about their life. Now divide their life into different periods and list out the significant events in each period. Explain the basis of your periodization. Okay, would you like to do this fun activity with your mother? Yes, what was she like in her young age when
Yes,
she was
ma'am.
a child? You can do this
Yes,
fun
ma'am.
activity.
Yes, ma'am.
Your justification why you are periodizing like that? Can you give a justification to this? Any one of you? Why do we why are we periodizing our mother's life like that? Can anybody? Please raise your hands. Okay, you can think over it and then we'll talk about it in the next class probably. Okay, so British rule Mill felt could civilize India. To do this, it was necessary to introduce European manners, arts, institutions, and laws in India. Mill, in fact, suggested that the British should conquer all the territories in India to ensure the enlightenment and happiness of Indian people. For India was not capable of progress without the British help. Do you agree with this? Yes or no?
No.
Yes, all
No,
right,
ma'am.
very good.
No,
We
ma'am.
should not agree with that because it was not
No,
the
ma'am.
British we should that who could civilize India. You cannot make such a comment about any other community or race. Okay, in this idea of history, British rule represented all the forces of progress and civilization. The period before British rule was one of darkness. That is what they believe. Can such a conception be accepted today? No, it is not right to accept such a conception that before we came, or everybody was savage and uncivilized. Okay, in any case, can we refer to any period of history as Hindu or Muslim? That is also not true, because during the time of Muslim rule also, you know about the Akbar's rule and his new religion. What was his new religion known as? Deen-e-Ilahi. Remember what was Deen-e-Ilahi meant? He believed in secularism and equality for all religions. He had many of the Hindu courtiers and ministers who were very important for him. So we should not be periodizing on the basis of religion or of the history of any particular race or a country. Did not a variety of faiths exist simultaneously in these periods? At that time, it was not only the Muslims who were living in India, it was all kinds of people of all religions were living in India at that time. So we cannot say that it was the Muslim. This period is of the Muslim period, or this is the period of the Hindus. Yes, I hope you all agree on this.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. Now,
Yes, ma'am.
why should we characterize an age only through the religion of the rulers of the time? To do so is to suggest that the lives and practices of others do not really matter. If we are periodizing on the basis of Hindu or Muslim, we will just say that only Hindus were important and others' lives were not important. We should also remember that even rulers in ancient India did not all share the same faith. Moving away from British classification, historians have usually divided Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern. I have already discussed this about the division of history: prehistory, history, ancient, medieval, modern, and contemporary. So this part also we have covered. This division 2 has its own problems. It is a periodization that is borrowed from the West again, where the modern period was associated with the growth of all the forces of modernity, science, reason, democracy, liberty, and equality. Medieval was a term used to describe a society where these features of modern society did not exist. Can we uncritically accept this characterization of the modern period to describe the period of our study? As you will see in this book, under British rule, people did not have any equality or freedom. Then how can we say that these people are modern? Okay, they did not have any liberty. There was so much of exploitation. Then how can we call those people modern who have such kind of attitude towards another race? Nor was a period of economic growth and progress. There was no economic growth, there was no progress, people were not happy. Then how can you name that particular period as modern? So even this particular division or periodization of history is not acceptable. You cannot say that people were unhappy or not that good during the previous years. So even this division has its own flaws. Many historians therefore refer to this period as colonial period. Rather, during this time, colonies were made all across the world because of the Industrial Revolution. Europeans were making colonies in all parts of the world, finding new territories for growing their commercial trade, for selling their market goods, finding new markets, and acquiring new raw material for their industries. Now, what do you understand by the term colonial? As I have already explained here, children, the term colonial here means the colonial rule. You make a colony. Okay, this country belongs to me. Just like India was a colony of the British, Indonesia was a colony of the Dutch, Netherlands. Okay, so in Europe, whichever country has been through industrial revolution, over there was a increase in the number of industries and mass production was happening of goods. And when you produce so many goods in large numbers, you want to sell them. What will you do if you keep them in your country? There is no use for such products. So you need to go out and find places where you can sell off your products and earn money. And also you need raw material. For example, in Europe, they had these oak forests, these trees. Oak trees were very much important for building the ships. Now they used to cut these trees. And they cut these trees to such a large extent that these forests started diminishing in Europe. So now what did the Europeans did? They started finding any other country where trees which could be utilized, whose timber the timber of those trees could be utilized for shipbuilding. So now in our case, in India, they discovered the sal and the teak trees. And the timber of these trees were later on utilized for building the ships. So here is a good example of how these countries were becoming industrialized and how they started making colonies all across the world. So rather, the present day historians, they say instead of calling it a modern period or contemporary period or the time of the Britishers in India, rather we should term it as which period? Colonial period. Okay. You will, however, find that all classes and groups did not experience these changes in the same way. That is why the book is called Our Pasts in Plural. Okay, our pasts. What happened in our past? We are not saying that this is ancient history, this is medieval, or this is modern. We have just mentioned the name of your NCERT book is as Our Pasts. Am I clear here, children? Any doubts? You can ask questions if you have any. Okay. Shall I proceed further? Omkar Shinde, you want to ask a question? Yes.
Ma'am, that time they were doing the discriminations between the Hindus and the Muslims, so they can also tell any other thing about them to like Muslim will the British will tell something about Muslim which Hindu had not tell. So
this is something known as propaganda. What you are mentioning here is that they were doing the divide and they were following the divide and rule policy. And it was a part of their propaganda, how to increase trade. So they were playing a mind game with the people here. They were trying to differentiate between communities. Kisi ko zyada importance diya, kisi ko kam diya. So what will happen? The discrimination will lead to some kind of animosity between the two religions. And when then the other two are fighting, the who will benefit out of it? The Britishers will benefit out of it. Okay, so that was the idea, or you can say the propaganda, to spread this kind of a vision or this kind of a perspective among people. What they think, sometimes they will favor the Muslims or sometimes they will favor the Hindus. So whatever was being done was only for their own benefit and profit. I hope I have cleared your doubt, Omkar.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Now I'll come to the last section of this chapter. Okay, we'll also cover the contemporary sources. I have already covered that part also. How do we know? What sources do historians use in writing about about last 50 years of Indian history, children? Now here we're talking about the latest trends. I have already discussed this part also. What were the new sources of history? Quickly let me know what were the new sources of history after the Industrial Revolution. Please raise your hands. We just have 2.5 minutes left. I have already completed this part. Here you can see the administration produces records. Okay, we have. Yes, Sanket, you can answer.
Steam engine.
I'm sorry. Please speak loudly.
Steam engine.
Steam engine. No, steam engine. I'm talking about the sources of history. What were the new sources? Okay, I'll quickly cover this part also. Here we have something known as administration produces record. When you're ruling, you are making some kind of files or some kind of a record. Yes? Okay, Tanmay, you want to speak. Speak quickly. And please don't scribble on the screen, please. Here you can see a sample of reports to the Home Department. Okay, there are some administration produces, and here this is known as the National Archives of India. It came into being in the year 1920. Children, here you have these archives or text. As I have told you, with the invention of the printing press, the newspaper came. So you have it in the archives, the old newspapers. Then there were surveys made by the Britishers to measure the land, how much land was there, and also when they were observing the forest, what were the different kind of plant species were there in the forest. For example, they established in the year 1906 they established the Imperial Forest Institute in Dehradun, just to experiment or do research on the different plant species available in India, so that they can be, whether they are useful from commercial point of view, so that they can earn profit out of it. So when you are making a research, you're making some kind of a documentation in the printed form. So whatever you're documenting, official records here, surveys, official records, these are some examples of the sources of the new sources of history. Did you have these kind of documents before the Industrial Revolution in India? Anybody? The printing press was not there. So at that time, what kind of sources of history